Look around any major city after dark. You'll see a massive problem hiding right in plain sight. Right now, commercial buildings everywhere are wasting incredible amounts of energy. But we're going to explore how smart building technology is changing the game. It's turning energy management from a reactive guessing game into a highly dynamic, data-driven system.
30%. That is the staggering amount of energy commercial buildings just throw away. 30%! This daily inefficiency is a massive financial drain. It literally costs the global real estate industry around $90 billion every single year.
So why does this massive waste happen? Well, traditional buildings are essentially flying blind. They operate on rigid, static schedules. They run these huge, power-hungry systems while completely ignoring the weather outside, and worse, they ignore empty rooms inside. Blasting the AC in vacant spaces drives up your peak demand. That spikes your monthly bills. In this explainer, we'll map out the solution. We'll look at this hidden waste and the smart building difference. We'll cover the core technologies driving this change. Then we'll dive into real-world savings, the honest trade-offs, and the road ahead. Let's jump right into the smart building difference. It really is a complete paradigm shift. Here is the core shift. Traditional buildings are static, scheduled, and totally reactive. Smart buildings are dynamic, real-time, and proactive. They constantly adapt to actual human conditions. They don't just blindly follow a pre-programmed clock on the wall. This transformation rests on three main pillars working together. First, we have sensors collecting real-time data. Second, AI-driven automation processing that data instantly. And third, total system integration. For example, occupancy sensors can tell the system to only supply fresh air when people are actually in the room. B-Roll Q, a modern office space where lights naturally dim as sunlight pours in through the windows.
So, what's under the hood? Let's look at the core technologies driving this digital engine.
First up is the Building Management System, or BMS. This is a centralized digital dashboard. It automatically monitors and controls your HVAC, lighting, and security. Think of it as the digital brain of your entire building.
Next, we have IoT sensors. These are small, connected devices. They constantly collect real-time data on occupancy, temperature, and CO2 levels. B-Roll Q, close-up of a sleek, wireless environmental sensor mounted on a conference room wall. They act as the building's nervous system. They give facility managers a granular view of every single zone.
Then there's demand response. This is a really clever strategy. It automatically shifts heavy energy use to cheaper, lower carbon times based on utility signals. By matching demand to off-peak pricing, buildings save a ton of money. It actively protects your budget from wild energy market swings. Next up, digital twins. These are virtual, data-driven replicas of physical buildings. They're used for simulation and advanced efficiency testing. Managers can test complex cooling strategies digitally. They can do this before ever touching a physical thermostat.
Finally, we have predictive maintenance. This uses AI-driven software to spot equipment inefficiencies before they happen. It catches potential mechanical failures early. Being proactive like this can slash total equipment downtime by 30 to 50%.
Now let's talk about the evidence. We need to look at the real-world savings and results.
This is where the business case becomes absolutely undeniable. HVAC optimization routinely cuts energy usage by 20 to 30%. Smart lighting reductions range anywhere from 10 to 90%. Overall, total energy cuts frequently hit 30 to 50%. That translates directly to massive carbon reductions. It's a huge win for corporate sustainability goals.
The real financial clincher is the payback period. For most of these upgrades, the return on investment sits between 2 to 5 years. It is vastly cheaper to invest in using less energy than generating more.
But let's take a reality check. We need to discuss the barriers and honest trade-offs.
Look, upgrading commercial real estate isn't always easy. Upfront capital costs are a real financial hurdle for many owners. Also, integrating modern IoT sensors with legacy equipment, like old boilers, is incredibly complex. And finally, securing network data from cyber threats is an absolute non-negotiable necessity.
So where is all this heading? Let's look at the road ahead and net zero targets.
Commercial buildings simply must evolve. Right now, they generate roughly 40% of all global emissions. The good news? Achieving a zero-carbon building isn't just a dream anymore. Thanks to emerging grid interactive technology, it's becoming a near-term necessity for the entire industry.
The financial risks of ignoring this are actually quite severe. Experts warn that inefficient buildings may face a Brown discount. That's a direct value reduction of 10 to 20%. Assets stuck in the past risk becoming stranded. They simply won't be leased or sold.
I'll leave you with this final thought. Is your building still running blindly on a fixed schedule, or is it smart enough to adapt to reality? Consider conducting a comprehensive energy audit as your immediate next step. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.